Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. NBA Wednesday night, got 7 games on the board. As far as Tuesday, I had a winning night. It's actually not over yet. I'm recording this. The Suns game is still going on, but I'm guaranteed a green night regardless. Rockets was a big bet. Bulls and the money line, that was huge for me. Lost Oklahoma City, and I'm just waiting on Suns minus 3.5. I got it at. So even if the Suns lose, I still had a winning night. But if the Suns win and cover the number, I had a great night. So that's always positive. Love to stay in the green. But like I said, Wednesday, 7 games on the board. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
First up, we got Toronto on the road in Charlotte. Hornets are catching 6.5 points. It was at 6, but it looks like it just moved up to 6.5. Total sitting at 226.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, this one is deadlocked. Final score 114-114. On the injury front, Toronto's looking pretty good here. RJ Barrett and Gary Trent are both on the injury report, but both are listed as probable. So I would imagine Raps are going to be at full strength for this one. On the Charlotte side, obviously they're crushed with injuries. They have been all year. Some good news, though. It looks like Gordon Hayward may be back for this one. He's listed as questionable. Cody Martin also listed as questionable. But LaMelo Ball, Kyle Lowry, Mark Williams all still out. Betting trends on the Toronto side. Raps are 4-8 against the spread in their last 12, 9-6 against the spread in their last 15 on the road. The over is 4-1 in the last 5 Raptors games, and the over is 14-4 in the last 18 Raptors road games. As a road favorite this year, Toronto is 2-2 against the spread. On the Charlotte side, obviously these are looking pretty ugly. Hornets are 3-14 against the spread in their last 17 overall. The over is 8-4 in the last 12, so both teams trending towards the over. Just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 at home for Charlotte. 9-12 against the spread as home dogs this season. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, Toronto is 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 against the Hornets. So they've gotten the better of Charlotte, but just 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Charlotte. So pretty much the home team has gotten the better in this series. The over is 4-2 in their last 6 matchups, but the under is 4-2 in the last 6 matchups in Charlotte. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some overall efficiency numbers. And look, we know how bad Charlotte's been. I mean, everyone knows how bad Charlotte's been. But we need to point out that the Raptors have basically been just as bad. Look at these numbers from the last 10 games. Charlotte is 30th in overall efficiency. Toronto's 27th. And the Hornets have actually shown up in some of these games against fellow terrible teams. They're 3-4 this season against teams in the bottom 5 of efficiency. Bottom 5 in efficiency other than them, because they're dead last. And that's straight up too, not against the spread. So the Hornets have won a few of these games. Raps aren't bottom 5 in efficiency on the season, but in the last 10 games, they certainly are. If we take a look at the matchup for Toronto offensively, they've attacked the rim at a high rate in the last 10 games. They're 5th in shot frequency at the rim. Charlotte's been terrible down there. No question that's a mismatch. In the last 10, Charlotte's 26th in frequency, 27th in defensively at the basket. But to be honest, after that, it's kind of tough to find angles for Toronto to score points here. In fact, I think Charlotte's defense might give them some problems. Hornets have been good on the defensive glass. They're 3rd in the last 10 games. Toronto's also been having problems protecting the basketball. Charlotte can probably force some turnovers here. I think the Hornets defense is going to give Toronto some problems. On the other side of the court, we've got the Hornets offense, and obviously we know this is not a good unit, certainly crushed with injuries. On the last 10 games, they're not getting to the foul line at all, just 27th. Meanwhile, Toronto's defense has been very good in that department, 4th in defensive free throw rate. But if we pull up the interior scoring numbers on this side of the court, we kind of got the same matchup here. Charlotte's 12th and 13th in shot frequency at the rim and from the short mid-range, so not a ton, but definitely above average as far as the shots taken down there. Look at the Raps' defensive numbers on the interior. They've been getting eaten alive down there, so Hornets might be able to get buckets inside here. Look, I know Charlotte's bad, and this bet might seem crazy, but there's just no way Toronto should be laying 6 points on the road in any capacity, so I'm leaning towards the Hornets here. Charlotte plus 6, next game. Cleveland is on the road down in Washington, D.C. Wizards catching 10.5 points or 11, depending on your sports book. Total sitting at 234.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we're looking at an 8-point Cleveland win. Final score 119-111 Cavs. Injuries for Cleveland, we have none. Nobody on the injury report for the Cavs, looking like they will be at full strength for this one. Wizards are in pretty good shape also. Marvin Bagley has been ruled out, but other than that, all the main pieces should be active for Washington. As far as the betting spot here, we are getting the Wizards on 2 days rest. And look, their efficiency numbers on 2 days rest still are pretty terrible. but they are 3-6 this season on 2 days rest. They're 6-34 in their other 40 games, so they have a much higher winning percentage when given 2 days rest. Betting trends here on the Cleveland side, obviously we know the Cavs have been great as far as covering the number, 11-4 against the spread in their last 15. They've also been covering the number on the road, 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 on the road. The under is 10-4 in the last 14 Cavs road games. And Cleveland on the season is 5-4-1 against the spread as road favorites. On the Washington side, Wizards are 7-6-1 against the spread in the last 14. So the Wizards have been covering the number, but more so on the road. Just 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 at home. It's been all under for the Wizards as well. Washington 1-7, 7-1 to the under in their last 8 games, and the Wizards are just 6-14 against the spread as home dogs this year. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, it's definitely been all Cleveland. Cavs are 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 versus the Wizards, 7-5 against the spread in their last 12 trips to DC. The under is 7-3 in the last 10 matchups between these two. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with Cleveland's offense. And obviously, we know what Cleveland's offense is. They attack the basket and take a ton of above the break threes. We'll start with their shooting numbers at the rim. They're third in shot frequency at the rim this season. That's been a glaring weakness in Washington's defense this entire year. Just 24th in frequency, 28th in efficiency at the basket. Cleveland on the season is 11-5 against teams in the bottom 10 of defensive efficiency at the rim. So they've played well against teams that can't protect the basket. So the Cavs should definitely be able to score on the interior. But here's the bad news for Cleveland. As we know, they take a ton of above the break threes. In the last 10 games, they're 4th in frequency and efficiency. That's actually the strength of the Wizards defense. In the last 10, 4th in frequency, 9th in efficiency. Wizards have defended that shot well. On the other side of the court, we're dealing with Cleveland's defense, so obviously it's going to look bad for Washington. Cavs probably have the hottest defense in the NBA right now. As we know, the Wizards offense attacks the paint a lot. 3rd in frequency in the last 10 games. This has arguably been the strength of the Cleveland Cavs defense. 8th and 1st in the last 10. Also, we know this Wizards team loves to push the pace, loves to get out in transition. They're 5th in frequency and efficiency. It's actually one of the strengths of their team. Cavs have been solid defending the fast break all season, 13th and 5th. I will say, though, we have seen the Wizards in this spot twice recently at home against an elite defense. And you know what? They kept it competitive in both games. They only lost by 8 to Oklahoma City, only lost by 11 to Minnesota. I'm not saying we should go ahead and bet Washington. I'm just saying they have kept it close the last times they saw elite defenses at home. As far as what I'm betting in this game, I mean, I hate the idea of taking the Washington Wizards at home. It's just been a suicide mission, and they just bit me in the ass. I think it was last week. I took them with a similar line. I took the Wizards plus 10.5 or 11 against the Clippers. Lost. But you got a Washington Wizards team that defends the three-point shot well. Kind of like the matchup, and we're talking about 10.5 points at home. I hate myself for doing it, but I'm taking the Wizards here. Give me Washington plus 10.5. I'm going to try to find an 11 next game. Golden State on the road out in Philly. Sixers catching 1.5 points at home, which is up at 1. This was close to a pick. It's now at Philly plus 1.5. Total sitting at 237.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we should see a 2-point Philadelphia win. Final score 118-116 Sixers. Injuries on the Golden State side. They're still missing Chris Paul. Gary Payton Jr. is also still out. Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins are both on the injury report, but both are listed as probable. On the Philadelphia side, Sixers are still really banged up. Joel Embiid, obviously out. He's out for the foreseeable future. I did see something that he might return before the end of the season, though. DeAnthony Melton still out. Nicholas Batum still out. Robert Covington still out. Philly's just had some bad luck as far as injuries. Trends on the Golden State side. Warriors are 6-3-1 against the spread in their last 10. 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 on the road. The under is 5-3 in the last 8 Golden State games. On the Philadelphia side, Sixers just 2-7 against the spread in their last 9. 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 at home. The over is 4-1 in their last 5 home games. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, Golden State is 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 versus Philly, but they're only 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Philadelphia. The under has hit 12 of the last 17, and the under has also hit 6 of the last 9 in Philly. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with Golden State's offense, and right off the bat, huge mismatch in favor of the Warriors. Offensive rebounding. Golden State, 3rd in offensive rebounding rate on the season. Philly struggled with that all year defensively, 25th. As we know, Golden State loves to launch those above the break threes. I always say Golden State, Boston, Cleveland. Those are the 3 teams. You got to go immediately to the above the break 3 numbers. Philly's been getting cooked from out there. In the last 5 games, Philly defensively 26 in frequency, 25th in efficiency against the above the break 3. There actually are a couple positive angles for Philly's defense though. One is turnovers. As we know, I mean, for the last 5 years, Golden State always struggles with turnovers, and Philly's actually been good about forcing turnovers this season. They're 6th in forced turnover rate. Also, Golden State loves to take shots from the short mid-range, those little floaters. They're 7th in frequency, 5th in efficiency in the last 10 games. Philly's defense actually has strong numbers defending that zone. Now, I'm not sure how much that's going to be affected with Joel Embiid out though, but that should be a positive angle for Philly that they guard that zone well. Let's flip it over to the other side and we'll talk about the Sixers offense. A couple positive angles for Philly right off the bat. Turnover rate, free throw rate. Philly gets to the line a lot. Well, we don't know how much that's going to be affected now without Joel Embiid. But they don't turn the ball over, which is huge because the Warriors have a problem fouling people and they don't turn the ball over. So 2 positive angles for Philly there. The Sixers also like to take a lot of those short mid-range shots. They're 5th in frequency in the last 10 games. And that's been a weak spot for Golden State defensively. But again, and I keep circling back to this, how much does Joel Embiid being out affects these numbers? I mean, we know Embiid loves to shoot that 12-footer. So I don't know if we can count on Philly being quite as effective from that zone. Now, when we pull up transition numbers, I think this one you definitely have to give the edge to Philly's offense here. 4th in fast break efficiency on the season. Golden State struggled in transition on both sides of the ball, actually. But look at the defensive numbers. 24th in frequency, 19th in efficiency. So Philly should be able to score some points on the fast break. As far as betting this game, there definitely are a few sharp angles that point towards Philadelphia. And this line, Philly +1, is definitely a sharp move, but I can't do it. It's only 1. I don't even like this Golden State team right now. But you got a Philly team that's been bad without Joel Embiid. You got a Philly team that's been getting lit up from the above the break 3. They're crushed with injuries. It's not just Embiid, but Toombs out, Covington. I mean, no way. Golden State's got to be the move here. Maybe I'm walking into a really square line, but I'm doing it. Warriors -1 next game. Atlanta on the road in Boston. Celtics laying 11.5 points at home here, and the total sitting at 244. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, final score 120-119 Celtics. So Celtics should win a close one. Injuries on the Atlanta side. Hawks are going to be without Clint Capella again. Other than that, they should be at full strength, though. DeAndre Hunter is on the report, but he's listed as probable. Boston is in pretty good shape injury-wise, but we do have one big question mark here. Drew Holiday on the injury report, listed as questionable. Other than that, full strength, so we'll have to wait and see with him. As far as the betting spot, you got the Boston Celtics on 2 days rest, and their numbers with 2 days rest this year have been insane. They're 1st in offensive efficiency, averaging 129.5 points a game. That's nearly 6 points higher than second place, by the way. They're 1st in defensive efficiency as well, so it's not just offense. They're also the best defense in the NBA on 2 days rest. They're 8-1 straight up on those games. Betting trends for Atlanta. Hawks are actually 3-1 against the spread in their last 4, but all 3 of those wins came at home. Atlanta's still 3-14 against the spread in their last 17 on the road. 5-11 against the spread as road dogs this year. The over's been cashing. 6-1 to the over in their last 7 Hawks games. But on the Boston side, the trends don't look that great. Celtics just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5. 4-8 against the spread in their last 12 at home. The under is 8-3 in their last 11. The under is also 5-2 in their last 7. And on the season, the Celtics are 14-12 against the spread as home favorites. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, it's been all Boston. Celtics 10-2 against the spread in their last 12 matchups against the Hawks. They're also 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 home games against the Hawks. So the Hawks have not had a lot of success going on the road to Boston. The over is 6-3 in the last 9 matchups between these two. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and there are actually a couple positive angles for the Hawks offensively. Offensive rebounding, 6th to 19th. Okay. And look at the turnover rate. Atlanta, last 10 games, not turning the ball over, and Boston's defense, not forcing turnovers. Hawks also love to take that little floater, that short mid-range shot. They're 4th in frequency in the last 10 games. That's actually been the weakest shot zone for the Celtics defensively. In the last 10, 24th in efficiency, 17th in frequency. When we flip it over to the other side of the court, though, and look at the matchup for Boston's offense, this is where it gets tough for the Hawks. We know the Celtics love launching threes. They're 1st and above the break frequency in the last 10 games. That's been a major weakness for the Hawks defensively. In the last 10 games, 16th and 29th in frequency and efficiency. They also struggle against the corner 3, which Boston also takes a lot of, 28th and 24th. Boston also has the huge edge in in transition, Celtics like to run the fast break. They're 8th in frequency, 10th in efficiency on the season. We just talked about this the other night. Atlanta's terrible guarding the fast break, 26th and 28th. It's been one of their main weaknesses all season. As far as betting this game, I know the Hawks have been playing much better recently. I know there's a lot of people that are going to take the 11.5. This is a terrible matchup for them. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to lay 11.5 points with the Celtics, especially because they're not playing their best basketball right now. But if Drew Holiday plays, this is Boston or pass for me. Next game, San Antonio on the road down in South Beach. Heat laying 7.5 points at home, and the total sitting at 223.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we're going to see a 3-point Miami win. Final score 113-110 Heat. Injuries on the San Antonio side, we got nothing. Nobody even on the report here. Spurs are at full strength. On the Miami side, the Heat are also looking pretty good on the injury front. Tyler Hero is listed as questionable, so we'll have to wait and see with him. But other than that, Heat are going to be at full strength as well. Before we even get started, we need to identify the spot for Miami. Obviously, they just played a game against Orlando last night, a division rival, on back-to-backs. On the second leg of back-to-backs this season, they're just 2-4 straight up and 1-4-1 against the spread. The offense just 29th in offensive efficiency on 0 days rest this year. Betting trends on the Spurs side. San Antonio just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. They are 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 on the road, though. 11-12 against the spread as road underdogs this year. The under's been cashing. 6-0 to the under in the last 6 San Antonio games. On the Miami side, we got 2-9 against the spread in the last 11. The under is 16-4 in the last 20 Miami games. That's not including the Orlando game, so I don't know what happened with that. They're 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 at home. And Miami is also a dead even 10-10 against the spread as home favorites this year. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, Miami has gotten the better of the Spurs. They're 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 matchups against San Antonio, but they're just 3-5 against the spread in their last 8 home games against the Spurs. So they've done a lot better job on the road in San Antonio than at home in Miami. So let's match these teams up on the court. We'll start with the Spurs offense. San Antonio's been basically living at the rim recently. In the last 10 games, the Spurs are 3rd in shot frequency at the rim. That's bad news for the Spurs because Miami's been great protecting the basket. In the last 10 games, they're 3rd in frequency, so they don't even let people in there to take shots, 14th in efficiency. Some more bad news for the Spurs offense is they like to get out in transition. They run a lot of fast breaks. They're 6th in fast break frequency. Miami's defense has been excellent in transition, 7th in frequency, 7th in efficiency on the season. So overall, not a great matchup for the Spurs offensively. On the other side of the court, we got the Miami offense, and here's where we can find some angles for San Antonio. Miami should have a tough time getting to the free throw line here. The last 10 games, they're 22nd in free throw rate. Spurs defense up at 8th. Another positive angle for the Spurs defense here, Miami loves taking those short mid-range shots, those little 8 to 12 footers. They're 1st in frequency, 3rd in efficiency from that shot zone. That's been the Spurs' main defensive strength. 8th in frequency, 5th in efficiency on the season. San Antonio's defended those shots well. As far as what I'm betting in this game, this is a pretty simple one for me. I mean, there's just a few spots that I like to fade here. I love fading the Heat as big favorites. I love fading the Heat at home. They're on a back-to-back coming off a big win over a division rival. Follow it up with a way less meaningful game against a bad non-conference team in the Spurs. Spurs have been covering the number on the road. Say less. San Antonio, give me the Spurs plus 8 or 7.5 if I'm stuck with that. Next game. Detroit on the road out in Sacramento. Kings are laying 12.5 points at home here, and the total sitting at 242.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 6-point Kings win. Final score 120-114 Sacramento. Let's talk injuries, and we got a couple big question marks on the Detroit side. Well, first of all, Isaiah Stewart is still out, but we got Cade Cunningham listed as questionable. Also, Bojan Bogdanovic is listed as questionable, so 2 huge pieces listed as questionable for Detroit. On the Sacramento side, we got nothing. Kings have pretty much been the healthiest team in the NBA all year. Before we even get started on this one, we got to identify the spot, because this is a nice-looking spot for Detroit here. You got the Pistons coming off 3 straight losses, but that's not rare for the Pistons, but they're 2 days rested, 2 full days rest. It's the first game of a 6-game road trip, the first game of a road trip when the team still has energy. But more importantly, on the Sacramento side, you got the Kings just returning home from a 7-game road trip. They have the Denver Nuggets on deck. You got, the Kings at home were their worst. The Kings are a great road team. You got the Kings as favorites were their worst. I like the spot for Detroit, man. Betting trends for Detroit. Pistons are 9-2 against the spread in their last 11, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road. The over is 9-1 in the last 10 Pistons road games, and Detroit on the season is 11-11 against the spread as road dogs. On the Kings side, 2-3 against the spread in their last 5, just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 at home. The Kings are a much better team to bet on the road. Just 9-11 against the spread as home favorites this season. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, the Kings are 4-3 against the spread in their last 7 against the Pistons, but Pistons have covered 4 in a row in Sacramento. Kings 0-4 against the spread, their last 4 home games against the Pistons. The over is 6-2 in the last 8 Pistons-Kings games in Sacramento. So let's match these teams up on the court, and I actually got a positive angle for the Pistons offense here. They like to take that short little mid-range shot, that floater, those paint shots. They're sixth in frequency, 8th in efficiency in the last 10 games from that zone. That happens to be by far the weakest defensive zone for the Kings. 30th in frequency, 26th in efficiency. The only other thing that jumped out at me on this side of the court would be the turnovers. Detroit's had problems protecting the basketball, 22nd in turnover rate in the last 10 games. Sacramento's good at creating turnovers. They're 10th in forced turnover rate. Other than that, I don't think it's a terrible matchup for the Pistons offensively. And as crazy as it sounds, on the other side, I don't hate the matchup for the Pistons defense either. Kings, as we know, take a ton of above the break threes. They're 3rd in frequency from that zone on the season. Look, Detroit may be 25th in efficiency against the above the break 3, but they're 5th in frequency, meaning they're not allowing a lot of attempts from that zone. And check this out. Look at the rebounding numbers on this side of the court. Sacramento, 26th in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games. Detroit, 10th. I don't hate this matchup for the Pistons. As far as betting this game, I'm definitely on Detroit. I'm taking the points. I mean, I know the Kings have looked a lot better recently, but they're worse at home. They're worse as favorites. They're just getting back from a 7-game road trip. They've got the Nuggets on deck. Pistons are 2 days rested. Hell yeah. Give me Detroit plus 12.5 next game. Pelicans are out in LA to play the Clips. Clippers laying 6.5 points at home. The total sitting at 233.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we're looking at a 3-point Clippers win. 119-116 Clips. Injuries on the New Orleans side. Got a couple question marks here. Zion Williamson and Najee Marshall both listed as questionable. On the Clippers side, we got nothing. Clippers are at full strength right now. Betting trends for the Pelicans. New Orleans 3-1 against the spread in their last 4. Just 3-4 against the spread in their last 7 on the road. 9-4-1 against the spread as road dogs, though. This has been the spot to bet the Pelicans on the road getting points. On the Clippers side, obviously, as we know, the Clips have been a wagon. 14-5 against the spread in their last 19. 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 at home. 5 straight overs at home, too. The over is 5-0 in the last 5 Clips home games. As far as this particular head-to-head matchup, though, the Pelicans have owned the Clippers. They're 11-2 against the spread in their last 13 against the Clips. They're also 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 road games against the Clippers. The under is 8-3 in their last 11 matchups. So let's match these two teams up on the court. And I actually like the matchup for both offenses here. Pelicans have the solid edge on the offensive glass. They're 9th in offensive rebounding rate in the last 10 games. Clippers defensively all the way back at 26. Pelicans, as we know, like to take a lot of those long mid-range shots. In the last 10 games, they're 8th in frequency, 8th in efficiency. Clippers defense just 21st in defensive efficiency against the long mid-range shot in the last 10. So really good matchup here for the Pelicans offensively. But when we flip it over to the other side, it's also a good matchup for the Clippers offense. Clips have been attacking the rim at a very frequent rate. 6th in frequency in the last 10 games. Over the last 10 games, the Pelicans defense just 22nd in defensive efficiency at the basket. And just like the Pelicans, the Clippers also like to shoot that long mid-range shot. 9th in frequency in their last 10. That's another area of struggle for the Pelicans defense. In the last 10, 15th in frequency, 24th in efficiency. As far as betting this game, I want to take the 6.5 with New Orleans so bad. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it just yet. I mean, I'm not thrilled with the idea of trying to step in front of the Clippers train right now. So this is a pass for now. But if Zion is ruled in and I can still get 5.5, 6 here, I've made a lot of money taking the Pelicans as road dogs this year. I don't see any reason not to do it again. So, but I really want Zion to play though, because I really like what he does for that offense. So if Zion play, you know what? I'll let you know the final decision on the live show. For right now, it'll be Pelicans or pass though. Like I said earlier, we got back-to-back live streams, 3 p.m. Eastern time college basketball, 4 p.m. Eastern time is NBA. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you want my top bets for all sports parlays of the day, or you'd like to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. NBA Wednesday night. Also got a bunch of college basketball on. It's a real good time of the year for college basketball. Let's have ourselves a great night. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.